A credit crunch for General Electric. The Wall Street Journal this morning is reporting how the industrial giant's debt woes are spreading across the rest of the market. GE once had a AAA rating. The company's recent woes has its bond price sliding alongside the stock. Things have only gotten worse here. As you can see, its stock is now 50% just this year alone, and it is now sitting at $8.32 a share. Joining me right now with some reaction is the former vice chairman of GE and the founder of the Suzanne Wright Foundation. Bob Wright is here. Bob, good to see you.
Thank you, Maria.
What a disappointment GE has to be for you.
Well, listen, I think I have to say Larry Culp is the new CEO. And based on the interviews I've seen him have and how he conducts himself, I think he's a great choice. And I think this is the perfect person to take on this situation. He had a smaller company that he built into a huge company. He did some odd 30 acquisitions in a 14-year period. Allegedly, he never took a write-down. That's almost incredible. And he's a nuts and bolts guy. And what he's doing now, he has to go through every single business area and make sure that the ones that are providing earnings are doing it at their very best. And he may be able to, if he's able to find some assets that he can sell to other people that don't have current earnings. So it's like diamonds, selling jewelry.
Yeah.
But it's valuable to somebody else, but it's not providing any cash to you right now. He needs cash from his businesses, and there's so many businesses to choose from.
And they're jewels. I mean, look at the jet business. It's a jewel of a business.
Well, that business generates cash. You don't want to sell that.
Exactly.
And you don't want to sell right now. Healthcare. If you sell a business, it's a one-time hit. You get the money, but you're going to have creditors. They're going to want that money. So he has to plan very carefully if he sells something, how he's going to cover pension, how he's going to cover creditors, but his trick is, he has to get all of his operating businesses working very well and generating income by the month, by the quarter.
Yeah, one of the worst acquisitions probably under Jeff Immelt was the Alstom
There's no
deal.
question.
No question, right?
It's just a shame that it came along at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But the real problem I have with that is that they had tremendous liabilities that were on the balance sheet right then, and they didn't address those. They had a pension liability that was growing. They had this health care. Did
Immelt not know that?
Well, of course they knew it, and they somehow buried it in their minds that they could take that another day. And they spent $53 billion on buying back stock and buying Alstom and doing this industrial software program that doesn't generate any money.
Right. You ran this company along with Jack Welch, and you ran it really during the glory days. I mean, the stock was at 59 3/4 on your watch, and it's incredible to see this company go from a market value of $600 billion at the high to what? $80 billion right now. I mean, people are commenting about it. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke with IAC Chairman Barry Diller, and he was just mystified at looking at GE versus other industrial giants, particularly as it relates to the sale of NBC Universal. Here's what he said. Can you imagine if GE waited to sell NBC Universal to Comcast for today? Valuation would have been much different.
Well, GE is a whole other story.
Yes, it is.
When you see the rise of all of these other companies in this last period, and you see the year-by-year destruction of the greatest industrial company created, GE, it's quite an amazing, and you can parallel it.
So what do you think happened?
I just want to make a point. I know Barry Diller pretty well, and GE, and I knew Jack Welch obviously very well. They both paid a lot of attention to the balance sheet. Barry is very good at acquiring, but he constantly wants to know how much cash have I got, what are our liabilities.
That's his success.
And that's been his success.
And that's what Jack did, too.
And Jack did the same thing. Jack did a lot of things, but he had a lot of good people around him. People like Larry Bossidy was there for many, many years, really smart people that are very attentive to the balance sheet. And this seemed to, that history just seemed to disappear in the last 2 or 3 years.
And in a 20-year period, I mean, were they not as focused on that balance sheet and knowing where the cash was, how much cash would be left with these acquisitions? I don't know what happened. It's just
you
incredible.
have to think maybe, because there started to be outside interest, and hedge funds were coming in with a lot of suggestions, and that puts a lot of pressure on you. They want that stock price up.
Yeah.
And buying back stock when you don't have the money to do it is a way to increase the stock price, but it's not a way to help the balance sheet.
Can it ever go back to its glory days?
Well, these businesses we're talking about, the healthcare and aviation and power, are never going to go away. And they're global businesses, and that's one of the things that people don't recognize. That great asset of GE is they're all over the world, and most of their employees are outside the United States. And these are loyal people, they're skilled people. That business is Larry just has to get them all firing at the same time for getting his cash.
Yeah.
He has to do it day by day, one at a time. It's not easy. But I think he's capable of that.
All right, we'll watch the situation. Let's fast forward to what you're doing right now. Today is World Pancreatic Cancer Day, and you've got your tie on.
My pancreatic cancer tie.
Okay. The goal is to raise awareness, to encourage others to take action. You founded the Suzanne Wright Foundation, inspired by your wonderful late wife, Suzanne. Let's talk about what's been done in terms of pancreatic cancer at this point. You started the Health Advanced Research Projects Agency, HARPA, which is basically modeled after DARPA.
It is. It comes from DARPA. Yeah. Well, first I just would say that there's been a lot of research money put into pancreatic cancer, probably $1 billion over the last 7 or 8, 9, 10 years. And the problem is the mortality rate is 91.5%, and that's the same mortality rate as 50 years ago. Oh. So this is like the basketball team that has great players, and but they can't win any games. And the scoreboard in healthcare is mortality, and so there's been a failure to address that, unwillingness or unable to do it. And a HARPA is designed to come in and to tackle things like early detection, which is critical. People get detected with pancreatic cancer, and 85% are stage 4. It's metastasized, generally to the liver, and there's no surgery that can be done. There's nothing.
How do you do the early detection? What is
endoscopic examination is the best way to do it, but that's not in the standard of care. It's just like a colonoscopy wasn't in the standard of care 25 years ago, and now it is. You just get it whether you want it or not. And that endoscopic has got some issues, but it's the only way to go down and examine the pancreas and the liver at the same time. So that's but there's also blood. There's also blood tests that can be done. There's lots of things. What a HARPA does is it pulls together people that have great ideas but for some reason or other generally couldn't get it financed correctly or couldn't finish it on time, and you pull it together and you work on a time schedule. The motto is fail fast.
Yep.
In other words, we get this thing done fast, or let's move it on.
Now that you're on it, I think there's a lot more optimism. I know what you've done for autism, and I know that you're on the same goal for pancreatic cancer, Bob.
The problem is everybody I talk to thinks it's a great idea, people, but there's institutional resistance. The actual change is a change to take this from the Department of Defense and put it over there.
Yeah.
But that's what's killing me, institutional resistance.
All right, we'll watch that. Bob, good to see you.
Thank you.
Bob Wright joining us there.